So you just made history. 100 World Cup wins. Has that sunk in yet?
No, no. Short answer. Um, yeah, it's been probably a symbol of just a ton of a ton of work and a ton of support that I've received from the team around me and everybody who all my coaches and family and everybody who's been so supportive over so many years. 100 is a hard number to wrap my head around in the context of skiing and the sport and how much time and effort and sacrifice it takes just to win one World Cup race. It's a little bit hard to process it all together.
I am so excited for you watching
Thank you.
you in that moment when you realized what you had done. What was going through your mind? It seemed like there was a lot of emotion there.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I crossed the finish line, and this is kind of an ongoing issue for in my career that for whatever reason I have a really hard time finding the scoreboard,
Yeah.
and they don't put it in the same place every single World Cup finish. So
Okay.
sometimes it's on the left, sometimes it's on the right, and I couldn't find it, and then I did find it, but I wasn't far enough in the finish area to see if it was green or red. So at first I thought I was fourth. And then I was like, well, I can't really celebrate. I just don't want to be like, if I didn't win, then fourth is great, but I don't want to be celebrating like I won. So, so that was just weird. That was a funny moment. But I think realizing that it actually was a victory and that my skiing, this is a little bit of a deeper conversation. Just cut me off when you're ready.
No, no,
But
no. I love to hear it. I love to hear
um, coming back from returning this season from the injury that I got in Killington back in November, and this injury was just kind of weird. It was 7 centimeter deep stab wound, which we just don't see in ski racing, and it was about a millimeter away from puncturing my colon, or yeah, millimeter, like it was close. And that would have been life threatening, but it wasn't. So this has been like a mental process to understand, am I unlucky being disguised as lucky, or am I lucky in disguise as unlucky? I don't know, like that could be quite a deep rabbit hole to go down.
it.
But in the end, being able to return to racing this season, I've gone through the physical rehab, I went through surgery, like all of these different pieces of it. And then to actually get back in the start gate has brought on a whole entirely different phase of the recovery, the mental, psychological phase. And all of that came bubbling right up in this slalom, realizing that I'd actually kind of put certain pieces together that really felt like they had been just so impossible to put together for the last month. That was a pretty incredible moment. It was really meaningful. Just it's been a lot to overcome, and my whole team has really carried me through it this season. So that was a really, yeah, I mean, an unforgettable moment.
Yeah. Do you feel proud of yourself? I hope you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of the collective effort of the people around me, and I'm certainly proud of myself too. But it's just such a collective effort, and even my teammates. I shared this podium or this victory with one of my teammates, with Paula, who was on the podium with me, and that was so incredible after an amazing season that she's had, and with my other teammates there and coaches, and so many people have reached out and been so supportive, and even competitors who have been experiencing the same kind of or have experienced the same kind of PTSD, like post trauma, post crash,
Yeah.
mental challenges. They've reached out, and competitors have been telling me, like, you've just got to keep doing it. You've just got to keep and like the only way through this is exposure, so you just got to keep doing it, even when it feels like your body's not doing what your mind tells you to do. And the slalom race was kind of a moment of reprieve, and honestly a bit of a hellish journey. So I I am really grateful for that, because it kind of gives me hope that, okay, I will get back to feeling myself,
Yeah.
and that's really helpful in this journey.
Yeah. You've been really open about your PTSD, anxiety, the things that you've gone through since your crash. How are you prioritizing your mental health right now?
uh I think talking about, like, trying to verbalize what's going on in my head and share it with the team, and trying not to further isolate has been really important. And I'm just imagining how many other people out there, and athletes, feel like there's something wrong with them. Um, but this is a way that your brain actually reacts. That it's a real research documented thing about the way your brain can react to trauma, and it doesn't have to be permanent. It's temporary, it's things you can work through. But talking with other people about that, and my psychologist, absolutely, but other athletes. And to be honest, I didn't actively seek out other athletes for their advice, but a lot of athletes actively came to me. A lot of my teammates reached out to me and checked in, have been checking in on how I'm doing, and have been giving me advice, including a lot of my younger teammates. So it's been a pretty beautiful experience, despite not feeling entirely myself on the hill, and especially in giant slalom,
Yeah.
to still experience that and connect with other people about it. That's been enormous. I certainly, for anyone else who's experiencing this kind of feeling, I highly encourage them to just reach out to more people and try to relate to others on what you're going through.
Yeah. What brings you back to yourself? Do you have a mantra, a meditation, a song you listen to before you get ready to compete?
Uh, I don't have a real specific routine. I Oftentimes I will listen to music. I have kind of a playlist, like a race day playlist that I like to listen to. It has quite a bit of Taylor Swift on it. Yeah. I mean, my mom is one of my coaches, and she has been really since the beginning, since I started skiing,
Uh-huh.
period.
Yeah.
Um, she is really the person in this world who knows me the best. And I think having her here, especially at this time, has been really grounding. My team is very tight knit. We really try to keep our circle tight and trusting. And she is absolutely, in my opinion, she's the glue that holds this team together and keeps us all accountable and moving forward. And I mean, I wouldn't be here without her. So obviously literally, but
Yeah.
also figuratively.
Mama knows best, always. I completely relate to that. You mentioned Taylor Swift. I know that you have been studying her a little bit and her rise. So, what have you learned? I too love Taylor.
Oh yeah. I think when, like, I couldn't really say that I relate to what she's gone through in her own life. The magnitude of everything that she experiences and how public it is, just, it's not something that I will ever experience.
Yeah.
But and most of us won't. But on a very small level, to feel like I've grown up in a I've yeah, I've grown through life for the last, I mean, almost 16 years in a fairly public way.
Yeah.
Ski racing is a it's a tight, tight knit, kind of a small community, but it's, in its own right, it's a public way to grow up. And I've learned a lot from how she's tried to handle herself, and also understanding that when when you make mistakes, there's sort of there's always consequences for that. Whether you intended to do it wrong or right, it sort of
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And that's maybe the beauty, but also the curse of a public life, is that you have to be graceful with yourself. The rest of the world might not always be graceful with you, but keeping the circle tight, trusting in the people around you, you know, reaching out to others, and trying to do your best with what you've got. I feel like she's just done an incredible job of always doing her best with what she's got. And despite how music has at times come back to burn her in a way,
Yeah.
she never ever stopped creating. She never blamed music for something that um, maybe felt like a curse at the time. And in the end, over time, it's always been a gift. So I think that's pretty inspirational.
That's such a beautiful message. I couldn't agree with that more because we, especially when you have a, obviously for her, it's music. For you, it's this sport, and you are both so superhuman in your individual, gifts. And when it gets hard, it could be easy to blame the gift, but to keep the passion. I love that. It's so important. You've been through so much. You mentioned your mom earlier. And personally, it's been 5 years since you lost your dad, who was your mentor, and you were very close. Do you still feel his presence on the slopes?
Oh, it's a little, we could get deep here. I I have struggled with, feel like a lot of people talk about grief, and the passing of a loved one, and how they do feel their presence. And I have struggled with this just frustration that I don't always feel his presence when I want to. And that was right. That was in the beginning as well. And this kind of idea of like, what would he say if he was here? And that sometimes it makes me want to scream, because all people mean is just to say like, he would be proud of you. But I'm like, well, we don't know that
Yeah.
because he's not here. And um, not to get too intense about it, but I guess my connection with him, I've kind of learned to realize that I'm connected with him when I think about him, and I think about him a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I feel him in his presence right next to me.
Yeah.
For a lot of people who have experienced the loss, and especially, unexpected and traumatic loss of a loved one, I think we don't all feel their presence or their memory in the same way. And so for anybody out there who's feeling that, I just want you to know that it doesn't mean you're not connected with them if you don't, like I said, feel their presence right next to you. We feel it in different ways, and however you feel it is really okay.
Yeah. I lost my dad too 2 years ago, so I totally understand and relate to
I'm
your
sorry.
experience, and I'm sorry for you too. But I do believe without certainty that they are both by our sides every single day. Um,
Yeah.
no matter what, no matter
Yeah.
if you're skiing the 100 World Cup or if you're chilling on your couch, that is
Yeah.
beside you. Uh,
Yeah.
you and him are one.
Oh.
On a much lighter note, you are engaged.
Yes.
You are engaged.
Yeah.
I am too. We have so much in common, except
Happy
I
engagement. Oh my
am not
goodness.
a gifted skier. But you, you are engaged. I'm so happy for you. Are we wedding planning, or are we just really focusing on the sport?
We're focusing, partially on the sport. I haven't gotten too much into wedding planning just yet. Alex, he is a world champion downhill ski racer from Norway, and he had a really bad crash last year in Switzerland in one of the World Cup races in Switzerland, and he's still recovering. He actually just on the 22nd, on Saturday, he had hopefully his final surgery on his shoulder. This summer he was battling infection. It's just been a really long and grueling and
Yeah.
hard process, but he's one of the most positive people in the planet, and he's so just unfailingly kind, even in the worst moments. And he's been so supportive of me, and we don't see each other a lot because the sport takes us to really opposite ends of the planet most of the time.
Oh.
But yeah, getting engaged in that moment last year in March, where actually the anniversary is coming up pretty soon here. Yeah, he it was such a beautiful moment in the middle of a really tough time for him and for me watching him go through it. Yeah, so
You'll get
we're
there.
lucky. He's on the mend now,
Yeah.
officially on the mend, and that is, oh, that's beautiful. But it's safe to say that we haven't had a lot of time
You
to do
guys
a
are
lot of
busy. Y'all are busy. You'll get to it. No rush.
okay. Absolutely.
We're less than a year away from Milan. Maybe you guys should get married in Milan.
Right? You know, Italy does not seem like a bad idea.
Italy is not a bad idea, but you might be busy. So are you excited for Milan?
Yeah. I am excited. It if I make it, and you know, barring any very unexpected things,
Yeah.
I likely I'll make it on the Olympic team. But as we saw this year, a lot of unexpected things can happen. So um, I don't take it for granted. I think being able to be part of the sport period is beautiful and a gift. It doesn't always feel fun, but overall it's wonderful. And my teammates, the whole Stifel USD team this year has been on fire. Our women's team has, you know, 4 different medals in world championships, with which just passed in this earlier this month. And my team, they're so incredible right now, and it's such a inspiring group of women. So I think being part of this team
Mhm.
will be really special. You know, if that's the way the chips fall. And like I said, I don't take it for granted, but I am looking forward to hopefully competing in my 4th Olympic Games. That's something I never thought I'd say. So yeah.
I can't wait. Last question. I was in Paris actually, and I saw Simone Biles
Yes.
impact the world and earn redemption. How does she inspire you in her path, kind of motivate you to take care of some unfinished business?
Yeah. I think it was really impactful for me to hear in her docu series, like kind of leading up and through the Olympics, to hear her say, like, I'm doing this for me. That was that definitely struck a chord. There's a lot of what, like we said, you know, we grow up in the public eye, and a lot of what we do feels like it's for someone else. I think it really resonates to say that I'm doing this because I want to be here. Um, that's a mentality that I really hope to take into next season and the final seasons of my career. I hope to be able to truly say and honestly say I want to be here, and I'm not doing it for anyone else.
Yeah. Mikaela, thank you so much. You're just this short convo. You're such a beautiful person, and I wish you so much success. I
Thank you.
not that you need it. You're killing it, but
No, I appreciate it. I've
keep
always
killing it. You're
well wishes are
amazing.
always well received.
And your honesty is touching so many people and so many lives. You don't always realize it. Hopefully you do. You're changing lives by just sharing your story and being open and authentic.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, you're the one sharing it, so thank you.